My parents abandoned me after I got married, and now they're begging for forgiveness? I say F no. Am I the asshole? TLDR, I'm married to my former boss.
Boss daddy?
Boss daddy. We've heard of boss baby. But have you heard of boss daddy?
He grew up.
Parents did not, he grew up. Parents did not take to the marriage as well as I'd hope and ignored me for 5 years, only to reach out when they saw a 5th anniversary Facebook post that mentioned our kids. So like, oh, they had kids now?
Now all of a sudden you're
You're
what is
crawling back. Do I let them back in or do I ignore them? That is the question here, ladies and gentlemen. Does OP let them back in or ignore them? So my husband, 30 male, used to be my boss. About 9 years ago, I started working as his assistant. We spent about 2.5 years ignoring our mutual attraction until we gave in. We then went to HR, who reassigned me. And the whole thing was strictly above board from the time we began dating. So basically it's like, oh damn, we can't keep our hands off each other. HR, reassign me so we can just get into each other's pants. I got pregnant about a year later, and my husband and I decided to just get married. While we'd only been really dating for 1.5 years, we knew each other completely. I mean, we worked together. We did spreadsheets and then we spread those sheets. We loved each other, lived together, and there was a baby on the way. We knew how it would look, but I had to leave the company anyway due to problems with my new boss. So we didn't anticipate this causing any issues except with my parents. They, 62 male and 57 female, have always been overprotective. So I knew they wouldn't like me dating my boss. And I hadn't told them, but I had to tell them if I wanted them at my wedding.
Dang, we're already up to the point of her having a child with him and they don't know?
Yeah, they don't know.
Dang!
We decided to be mostly honest with them about how it was strictly professional until it wasn't. How the second it got unprofessional, we went to HR. I love how they're saying this. It's like in a memo. The moment we got unprofessional, we went directly to HR. How he had never taken advantage of me, but now we wanted to get married and we wanted them there. We did not mention the baby because I felt that giving them that information in addition to the rest all at once would just break them, which I feel like the probably thing that I would be feeling as a parent in this situation at this point would be like, why did you keep all of this from me?
The baby should have been the point. They're thinking like, oh, we're going to get married. Now we have to tell them. No, it's you're having a baby and now you have to tell them, in my opinion.
I was only about 4 months along when the wedding happened, so the bump was easily hidden by a flowy dress. The wedding itself went off without a pitch, and apart from my mother pulling me into the bathroom shortly before the ceremony to ask if I was sure about this.
You sure?
Sure want to go through with this? As I'm in my wedding gown, which I said I was, my parents seemed to take it well. The ceremony and reception were at 2 different venues and we had to travel from one to the other, and my parents never arrived at the reception. I called them and got ignored. And then my brother called them and they told him that they were going home. I don't remember the exact reason they gave, but it amounted to them being tired and uncomfortable. I tried contacting them after the wedding, but found that I was blocked on everything except email, which I used to send them a long letter essentially saying that I'm an adult who made an adult choice and I hope they can respect that. 5 years later. You okay there?
No.
Damn.
5 years.
Man's coughing up a lung over here. I have not heard from my parents since my wedding. My husband and I are not big on social media in general, but I recently posted something for our 5th anniversary in which I mentioned our 2 kids and a 3rd on the way. Within a month of making this post, my parents left a voicemail saying they saw the post and, having no idea that they had grandchildren previously, now want to meet them. I haven't responded, and there have been a few follow-ups since then asking why I haven't. There's a little bit more, but what do you think so far?
I think I hate everyone.
Yeah.
The OP is stupid for hiding the baby. Now, there are totally scenarios where it's better to not tell like the grandparents, you know?
Yeah, but this seems like...
It doesn't seem like this is the case.
If you want to have that relationship with your parents, which maybe OP didn't, but if you, like, I think...
They wanted them at the wedding.
Yeah.
So it's like...
You should just say what the whole dealio is. I don't know what to do, but my gut instinct is that 5 years is too long and it's about the kids, not about them respecting my choices or relationship. However, I can't help but feel that I'm being unfair. And my brother agrees because I told them in my email that if they could learn to respect my choice in my marriage eventually, then we could talk. And now I'm retroactively applying a time limit. Edit, can't find a way to work this in organically, but my husband is not white. I am, as are my parents. I don't think this is a race thing or that my parents are racist, and neither does my husband. And we don't understand why they want to meet our mixed race children if they were racist, but this element is still gnawing at me. Should I reach out to them? If I did, how would we go about rebuilding the relationship? And there is an update, and it's juicy.
Oh.
TLDR, they're racist.
There you go. There you freaking go.
And let me tell you why. So
tell me.
I asked to talk yesterday. We were on a Zoom within an hour. It was my parents and me and my husband. They asked to see the kids, and I said they could see them eventually, dependent on them earning our trust and convincing us they were going to be a positive addition to the kids' lives. They asked to start by reading a letter that they claimed to have written on my wedding day. It said that they were uncomfortable with me marrying my former boss, and they thought he took advantage of me, so they left between the wedding and the reception to avoid a scene. But they wanted me to know they were here for me despite their issues with him. They added that they would have sent this to me the morning after my wedding, but then I sent my email about them needing to respect my choices, and they were so ashamed they couldn't bring themselves to send theirs.
Stop.
Which means like, like were they like ashamed that for like at themselves or ashamed at her?
I think ashamed at themselves, which is dumb.
Why? I hope they should be ashamed of themselves.
No. They should be ashamed of themselves, but so ashamed that, oh, woe is me. We're not gonna
talk to you for 5 years.
Talk to you for what? Like, obviously, reach out and.
I'm confused. I'm still confused. I think it maybe they're ashamed at her.
You could be right. Let's see.
Seeing my anniversary post made them realize how much they've missed in 5 years, and they really don't want to miss anymore. I had some questions, like what was the big deal with me marrying my former boss? And they said that it just wasn't what they had in mind for my wedding day and my future spouse. I asked why they even came to the wedding at all if they didn't support the marriage, and my dad responded that he wanted to walk his daughter down the aisle as it was the only chance he'd get. The way it was phrased implied that they had intentionally only come to the wedding so he could give me away, and always planned to leave halfway. And because he said my daughter and didn't talk to me directly, it was pretty clear he was thinking about my older sister who passed away. Oh, that's sad. My husband caught that too and said that if they were talking about me, they should address me directly. Then added that if they had planned to leave, they should have told us as we wouldn't have invited them. And the fact that they waited 5 years to reach out was going to take more reasons than shame. As a father, he couldn't understand how they could just ignore their daughter for years only to get back in touch when we had kids. My dad snapped that he wasn't going to take, and so this is what the husband is saying. Right. And then my dad snapped that he wasn't going to take this from a cushy. The word cushy or cushy is a Hebrew word generally used in the Hebrew Bible to refer to a dark-skinned person of African descent.
I see.
So it's like a Hebrew slur for dark-skinned people. My mother immediately tried to run damage control, but I ended the call. They have since messaged me several times trying to explain that calling my husband a racial slur wasn't indicative of a racist attitude, and he wouldn't have said that in front of the kids, so they should still get to meet them.
I wasn't going to be racist in front of the kids, guys. I mean, I'm a reasonable dude.
I spent 5 years wondering how they were so offended by me marrying my boss that it earned no contact for half a decade. Turns out they're just racist. It's almost nice to find out. If it was just the boss thing, I would have sympathy for them, and we might even be able to reconcile. But with this, it's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed race children to a couple of racists, which I am obviously not going to do. My question to you, John, and also to everyone, so tippy tap in the comments, do you think OP made the right decision? And also, hypothetical here, what if the racist comment was not made, the parents were not racist? Would the 5 years of silence be enough to employ the same result of like, I'm still not gonna, I don't want you to be around my kids? Because who does that?
Yeah, I definitely think in scenario number one, like absolutely you do not have to have the grandparents in your life. They can leave in scenario number 1. And in scenario number 2, it's like, if you leave my life for 5 years without a peep, that already, like, it's just like, why? There has to be some big reason why. How can I trust you? You know what I mean? That don't get my hopes up that like, oh, maybe my children could have good supportive grandparents in their life and that you'll just leave again.
Yeah.
You know, so completely situation.
I'm sure everyone's grandparents have said questionable things.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious, what is the most questionable thing that your grandparents have said? Ooh. And what is your response to that?
Yeah. But anyways, you know what I really want to hear?
This next story.
Yeah, I do. My boyfriend keeps falling asleep before we do the nasty, but I want a bone. Should I break it off? Am I the a-hole?
Yes.
Don't just break off the relationship.
Break off that wiener. Well, actually, it might be hard if he's sleeping and it's soft.
I, 34 female, met my current boyfriend, 31 male, a few months ago, and we instantly connected on an emotional, intellectual, and just everything kind of level.
That sounds great.
If you're picking up what OP's putting down, we just clicked. We essentially lived together. When we first met, he lived an hour away, but already had been planning to move back home to help his parents as they're both in poor health. His home is about a 10-minute drive from where I already live, and we just fell into a comfortable routine of him coming home after work. We both get up around 6 a.m.
That's early.
That's pretty early, especially together as a unit. Man, kudos. You're already starting the relationship off completely in sync. Since we've been spending every night together, I became more aware of the fact that he falls asleep before his head even hits the pillow.
Yo, that's so me though.
Yeah.
I've had girlfriends get mad at me for falling asleep. I'm like, yo, she's like, hey, want to go to bed? And I'm like, yeah. And then I go to bed and I'm asleep.
I thought I was the only one.
I think it's just the fellas, dude.
Yeah,
if I
are tired boys.
Dude, I'm a tired boy.
We usually get into bed a few hours before to watch a movie / TV show / play Mario Kart, etc. And about 95% of the time, it's just me sitting up awake till 10 or 11 p.m.
Man needs his beauty sleep.
He does, bro.
I've had another girlfriend get mad at me. I would fall asleep and she's like, why don't you want to talk to me in bed and like talk for hours? And I'm like, girl, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Dude.
It's not that I don't care for you. Yeah. It's just that I need to sleep. Oh my God, I've had this conversation so many times. Some boys just need rest.
I feel you. I'm a sleepy boy too.
I'm a sleepy
boys
We're
for
sleepy
life.
Boys.
For some context, I have a history of spectacularly terrible former long-term, more than 2 years, partners, particularly when it came to our sex lives. I think I've developed this expectation of the honeymoon phase of sex during the first year or so of the relationship, and then it turns into unhealthy expectations, lack of communication, and just downhill from there. I was hell-bent on trying to develop a stronger sense of what I want in the sexual part of my next relationship before meeting my current boyfriend. On the occasion we do have sex or even foreplay, messing around, etc. It's been great. I think because my boyfriend rarely, if ever, initiates, he's communicative, doesn't rush, and he's attentive to me. It's not the lack of passion at all, but the problem is we often goes days without even kissing each other aside from a goodbye kiss in the morning.
So it sounds like the intimacy is not really there.
It's lacking.
Yeah, it's not the sleep, it's the lack of intimacy.
That's right. I'm still sort of conflicted on the sphere of our relationship. Not really sure if I feel like something's actually wrong here or if it's just different from what I expect. But his whole falling asleep the moment we get into bed thing has definitely been a significant factor in how often we've been intimate together. I'm still sort of conflicted on the sphere of our relationship. Not really sure if I feel like something's actually wrong or if it's just different from what I expect. But his whole falling asleep the moment we get into bed thing has definitely been a significant factor in how often we've been intimate together, which I honestly do wish was more frequent and not just at night. Now, OP did say she's up until like 10 or 11. He has to be falling asleep before 10 or 11. Is he not? Like 9's pretty bad. Like that's, which like sometimes
I fall asleep early, man. I wake up early. I fall asleep early. What are you saying? 9 p.m. is dark. It's dark. The sun is asleep. I'm asleep.
I think 9 p.m. is a fantastic bedtime in the realm of expectations. If someone, more of a night owl, I think some point past 9 p.m. is reasonable. But I'm in your corner. Trust me, bro. I used to fall asleep at 8 p.m. some days when I was single. Like I am so in your corner, but like
damn,
9 p.m.
John's single life is crazy.
Yeah. Woo! I literally some days I was so over optimized, I would turn off all the lights at like 8 p.m. to protect my melatonin.
Wow.
And I'd just be cooking salmon in the dark and putting Chick-fil-A sauce on it and then falling asleep at 8:30. I'm not lying. My life was sad. I've basically spoken openly about all of this to him, but we haven't really come to a resolution of any kind or truly discussed it as an explicit issue. It's making me feel like I just sort of live with my new best friend. Not sure what to make of this, so any advice or thoughts on the situation would be truly appreciated.
Yeah, I totally get her point of view.
OP, and also I think it's important that like OP's like trying to communicate it, trying to find a resolution. That's another thing too, is like, hey, you bring something to the table and like, hey, can we work on this? And if the other person is kind of just like shutting it down or closed off, or, that's more of like a core relationship component where it's
like the thing is, like, you define what kind of relationship you want to be in.
Yeah.
As long as you're communicative and you're not a dick and you're just saying like, hey, this is what I need in a relationship. Is that something you think you can meet me at? And if they say no, then you have your answer. If they say they want to work on it, then that's something that you can work out. Like, that's what dating is for, is finding out if the relationship works. So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. So if you have a high libido, like, just, call me.
Yeah. His number is
But we actually do have a place that you can call us and leave our stories.
We do.
What we want to do is leave a story, kind of like pitch us your story, and then leave a callback number, and we can call you and interview you on the show. We want to do more. Right. Show there's a couple coming out of us interviewing fans of the show.
That's right.
And so we want to do more of that. So John, what's the number?
It is 440-508-6567. Also, let's do this next story.
Let's do it. I got kicked out of the delivery room for doing the unthinkable. Am I the asshole?
It depends on what are we thinking about?
Also, this thought comes from one of the OKOP thoughts in the YouTube comments. This comes from Sable Rivera 7095, who left a YouTube comment. So if you want your story read, submit it either in the comments or on r/OKOP show. Try to make it to 500, 800 words, or you could submit it on our call line. Call us and leave your stories. Let me share a story with you. Once upon a time, I found myself in a situation where I got kicked out of the delivery room while standing up for my sister. Unfortunately, the OBGYN hospital she was attending was not reputable, but living in a small town, it was the only option available. My sister had a bladder infection and she mentioned it to the doctor, who dismissed her concerns. Sadly, the infection escalated into a kidney infection, causing my sister to go into premature labor. She was in excruciating pain and heavily medicated, which made her quite disoriented. Now, here's where things took an interesting turn. My mother has some extreme views and believes that doctors are out to harm her. She barged into the delivery room and in front of everyone started berating my sister, accusing her of being promiscuous and implying that her current situation was her own fault. I mean, like, she is right. Her current situation is her own fault. But I don't know if it should be said like that. It should be more like, congrats on having a baby.
Same technical meaning, but two very different vibes.
As someone with a fiery personality, I couldn't stand by and listen to such hurtful words coming from our abusive parent. I raised my voice and firmly told my mother to stop her tirade and leave the room. I even went toe to toe with her.
Put a Duke's ma.
Yeah.
It's time.
Ding, 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 ding. The situation escalated and my sister-in-law sought the assistance of nurses. I'm just imagining the nurses joining in and like throwing hands. Because I positioned myself between my mother and sister to protect her from further confrontation, security was called to remove us both from the room. Following day, I returned to express my gratitude to those who defended my defenseless sister. OP, sounds like you're the GOAT right now.
Yeah,
going toe to toe with your mom's tirade.
And wait. So she was giving birth.
I think so.
And the mom busts in the room.
You hoe.
And then
I bet you got a in there to get there.
And then she's trying to throw hands while her daughter. Okay.
And the doctor's like, push.
Yeah, push.
Man, OP, you really
push my fist into your face. Yeah.
Wow. I am always happy to know when the OKOP fam is standing up for what is right.
That's
so thanks for that.
Yeah.
And you know what else is right?
What is?
Submitting your stories to r/OKOP show or calling our line. We literally will interview you on the show if you call us. And we're also planning on doing like times where you guys can call in, but that's coming soon.
It's coming soon.
So John, what's the number?
440-508-6567.
Call it right now. You can literally call it right now.
But we'll see you in the next one.
See you soon.